From your local election headquarters, here is This Week in Louisiana Politics.
Thanks for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Politics on your local election headquarters. I'm Fred Childers. We have a lot to talk about, so let's get started. Well, Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser applauded stopping the Mid-Barataria Diversion Project, calling it flawed. He says Governor Jeff Landry is putting the people before politics by halting it. The governor announced the cancellation last week, saying the project has become too expensive for taxpayers. The project was to build up land on Louisiana's coast and fight erosion there. Plaquemine Parish also celebrated the cancellation of that project. Now, the chairman of the state's oyster task force argues it would have damaged the fishing industry in Plaquemine, Jefferson, and Lafourche parishes. Supporters criticize canceling the project, saying it's still needed to address Louisiana's severe land loss on the coast. Governor Jeff Landry weighed in on the decision to end that project. Now, the governor says the project is no longer financially or practically viable and threatens Louisiana's seafood industry, as we've just heard. However, it was paid for by BP as part of the settlement over the Deepwater Horizon disaster. Mid-Barataria was an effort to reconnect the Mississippi River to its wetlands. Now, Landry claims the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority is moving forward with other plans. The city of Zachary is facing a possible hike on property taxes, and the matter is slated to come up at a council meeting. But the council appears divided on whether the proposal should even be introduced, with reported threats being made to sway council members to push the increase through. Louisiana First News reporter Michelle Masson with the latest.
It is inappropriate and unacceptable for any individual or group to attempt to pressure an elected official vote on any tax measure through the threat of political retaliation.
Councilmember John LeBlanc making his opinion known at the last council meeting. He'll stand strong against any threats.
I was informed that certain political materials, including photos of a sign in my yard at my residence and posts on social media from an elected official colleague, would be used in future campaign advertisements against myself and my colleague if we did not support the rolling this millage forward.
LeBlanc has said Zachary City Attorney John Hopewell wants the residents' property tax increase, which funds city operations, to pass, and has been attempting to strong-arm others to back his stance. Councilmember Amber DiVirgilio stood with LeBlanc on a no vote for the introduction of the ordinance.
Across Zachary, families are trying to make ends meet amid inflation and increasing costs as well. Families don't have the option to roll their paychecks forward. Government budgets without a clear crisis should do the same.
I do not believe additional tax burdens are necessary at this time to maintain the city's financial health.
We reached out to Hopewell and city leaders for comment, but so far, no response. Michelle Masson, Louisiana First News.
Now, the council introduced the ordinance on a 3-2 vote, which means it will be considered for final adoption at the meeting. LeBlanc has publicly called for Hopewell's resignation and for Zachary Mayor David McDavid to investigate this matter. Also in Zachary, the Zachary School Board is working to add extra money to the district's pocket to fix important needs like facility upgrades, teacher pay, and more. The superintendent says this isn't necessarily new, but would save taxpayer money. Louisiana First News reporter Deshaun Johnson spoke with him and explains how this would impact everyone.
What we're looking at doing is something that's very financially stable, and is also good stewardship of our tax money.
Zachary school officials are working to provide more cost-efficient changes for the entire district and community.
Instead of asking for any tax increases, what we want to do is ask voters to consider, as we pay off our bond millages on our facilities, as those roll off over time, that the board may move some of those millages over for areas like compensation, facility repairs, and technology.
Superintendent Ben Nikkei says in the decades they've been operating, new schools have been created with more students and employees. Their biggest focus is to increase teacher pay. Their current salary sits at $52,000.
Our goal is to put money into the compensation scales across the board for every employee so that we can begin to get them back up to really combat that inflationary piece. Getting to $60,000 is a first good benchmark.
The proposal won't raise property taxes. Nikkei says they've set a plan in place if the proposal fails, but it will come with several changes across the district, like cutting after-school programs, parents potentially paying extra for athletics and other activities, and more.
No matter what happens, if this tax didn't pass, what we would see is we would see some changes, and some pretty dramatic ones in some cases.
Ultimately, it's in the voters' hands. Nikkei says he wants to make sure they do what's best for teachers, parents, and everyone in the community.
We need to invest in our people. We need to invest in the people that make this community special, and more importantly, teach our kids and make our system what it is today.
In Zachary, Deshaun Johnson, Louisiana First News.
By the way, that proposal will be on the ballot in the November 15th election. Of course, we'll cover that election very closely. Well, some new criticism piled onto President Trump's big, beautiful spending bill. A recent report says it will add about $3 trillion to the national debt. U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy, however, a vocal supporter of the bill, just attended the White House dinner where he says the bill he helped pass was celebrated. Cassidy says it will result in several wins for Louisiana.
For most seniors, we cut taxes on Social Security. We also included a $50 billion rural hospital fund to protect access to care in rural areas. President Trump, I, the Republicans, all worked together to secure these wins for people in Louisiana, and there's more to come.
And you know there are opponents. There they are. Critics of the bill call it a tax giveaway for the wealthy, paid for by the millions getting kicked off their insurance and getting less food assistance. Cassidy also believes President Trump's push for Coca-Cola to use real cane sugar like Mexico might be a sweeter deal for Louisiana. The cola giant has said it will offer the cane sugar version for those who want to avoid the current version sweetened with corn syrup. This after talking with the president. Senator Cassidy says this is a win for Louisiana's robust cane sugar industry.
A great move by President Trump to make America healthier again. And of course, a lot of that sugar is going to come from Louisiana. It's a great development. I applaud the president for his focus on this, and I'm glad for the people in my state.
Fans of the move say using domestic ingredients in Coca-Cola aligns with the president's economic priorities. And we're continuing with Cassidy, but switching over to his campaign. In the race for his U.S. Senate seat, it appears the incumbent leads the pack with campaign funds raised. Check out these latest numbers from the Federal Election Commission. Now, we included some of his opponents' funding as well. Cassidy has about $8.7 million on hand. He's raised about $2 million of that just in the last few months. Fellow Republican John Fleming has about $2 million on hand, and another Republican, Blake Miguez, has $1.7 million cash on hand. Also on Friday, Louisiana Public Service Commissioner Eric Skrmetta, a Republican, announced that he also will run for the U.S. Senate. Coming up, another executive order from Governor Jeff Landry. This one allows for the monitoring of DEI on college campuses and more. Stay with us. We'll be right back.